Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Strange Antiquities. As today, we settle into day 14 of 18. Things are starting to get a mite bit ominous, but, we're still waiting for that real final act twist. Though in the meantime, I'm more than happy to continue enjoying the general chill vibes, petting cats, shuffling things around on shelves, and of course, collecting the occasional odd curio or two. Speaking of which, let's go do some quick tomb raiding, shall we? And yeah, we pretty much figured this one out last time around. As per the date of death listed in our Antiquities book, this is our Knight of Thorns. The tomb of the Knight of Thorns resides alongside an ossuary filled with the unknown dead from the Battle of Southerfell. It is an unpleasant place that I do not plan to linger in. Happily, I am able to find the item I came for without any difficulty, and I quickly leave and don't look back until I'm out in the bright of the day once more. Ooh. That one almost kind of looks like that similar gold crescent we've got up here. This, pendulum-looking thing. Not identical, obviously, but similar. Engraved stone with gold banding. Rough and pitted texture. A feeling of disquiet lances through my body. Interesting. Symbols are pretty basic. Up and down arrows. I know one of those represents heat, the other might represent cold. Assuming we abide by the recurring theme of symbols meaning the opposite when you reverse them. Also, speaking of symbols, let's bust out this bishop square, shall we? Because upon scouring the maps, I also saw this. Mars in winter, rising in summer. Clearly our first seasonal clue. Given that we recently saw that certain symbols can represent both materials and planets, such as tin, which also represented Jupiter. So obviously in this particular case, we have to just find the symbol that represents Mars, place it in the winter slot, and then see what the summer slot points us towards. So let's check our book of symbols. Oh, right there. Iron, Mars. Which would be this one right here in the courtyard. Thus pointing us towards the kitchen. The smells and sounds of cooking greet me as I enter the castle kitchens. I feel a little foolish as I try to avoid the cook's glares while following the clues left to me by a mad old man. What was I thinking? I'm not going to find anything here. And yet, on the exact spot where the map leads me, there is something. A floorboard that has been cut and replaced. With a little difficulty, I lift it up and feel around in the cavity below, before my fingers grasp something hard. Inappropriate. Aw, look at this cutie. I like that one. Come at me, bro. Well, maybe I will. Let's see. Looks like stone. Right? With a black substance. Soot, perhaps. A chalky black residue that coats my fingertips. Implies it's placed in a fire or something similar, which would make sense because, again, we see the symbol for heat there. Above two others. Nothing else notable? We'll just set that aside for now. And ring in our first. Thomas Pope. I've noticed that some people claim not to fear death. They say that dying scares them, but not death itself. Not me. Not the great Thomas Pope. Give me pain, give me fear. If I can feel them, I know I'm alive. Going back to nothingness, that's what I fear. I'm going to do my best to live forever, starting today with a Loem. Ooh, buddy, Thomas, my friend. I don't know if that's really what you want, but, let me see what I can do. Yeah, that's the Hand of Jupiter, the Fire Palm. The item that reverses the signs of aging until eventually it stops working. And then it hits you twice as hard. Alright, so we already know what the fire symbol looks like, but let's look up Jupiter. Oh, right, 10, obviously. Which, I think, actually narrows it down. Oh yeah, we've got it tagged right here. Loem. A tin amulet sporting both the shape of a hand and the symbol for fire. About as straightforward as it gets. Yep. Hand, tin, triangle. Which nets us Cassander. The eyes of a Cassander focus the power of the mind, enabling those skilled enough to see the path, or paths, ahead. These items do not produce a mentic field as one might expect, but rather the more mysterious Selenic. Care should always be taken with any object of prophecy, and these are no different. Many have been seduced or driven mad by the paths shown to them, and have been led to ruin. Along with an illustration of trees with branching paths. Mr. Pope, good luck with that thing, but, don't let it get out of hand. And as for the Cassander, I'm not sure there's anything that really leaps to mind. Illustration really seems more metaphorical than identifying. So we're really just going off the Selenic field and the idea that it has eyes, quote unquote. Next. Agnes Dent. There has been an unexpected death in the family. It has hit us all quite hard, but particularly my husband. I would like to gift him a heart chamber. Okay, well that we can do. We've got one right here. I wouldn't say it's 100% verified, but I feel like it's probably our best bet. There is a vast skull in the catacombs said to be that of the beast, Blencathra. Holgar's followers believe that when he slew it, he trapped its soul, along with its powers, in an item known as the Wraith Chamber. Heart chambers are based on this mythical object, but they have morphed over time into a way to keep those dear to us close to heart after death. And of course, we've got an almost identical item right here in the illustration of Holgar, worn right over his heart. Though I will note, we've also got a number of other artifacts in this illustration that do look at least vaguely familiar. Though, much like with the illustration of the Gaudian siren, those might just be misdirects. So yeah, this is almost certainly our guy. Though I will also note, this is probably our Wraith Chamber right here. I can't really imagine what else it might be. I have to imagine that'll come into play at some point. There you go, Miss Dent. Sorry for your loss. Nice. Oh yeah, it does also resemble the mask. That is actually how we identified the Holgen Grimm in the first place, since the demo had never given us the pages for it. Brigic Charm. A powerful item that offers hope in times of worry, protection in times of darkness, and wisdom in times of uncertainty. It wields the power of the Maiden, the Mother, and the Crone, the Wiccan triple goddess. Maiden, Mother, Crone. Also mention of protection, hope, wisdom. Maiden Mother Crone. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, okay, well, I mean, we've got a symbol for the straight-up triple goddesses right there, so I guess the whole Maiden Mother Crone breakdown was kind of unnecessary. And we know that symbol. That is, right there. The whole amulet is shaped like it. So that is probably our strongest contender, but they did also very specifically mention... Yeah, 3 descriptors usually associated with specific gems. Though, as with many things, that could be another misdirect. We'll keep it in mind. For now, though, I'll just go ahead and tag this. Hey, BB. Next. Edmund Bishop, the Ornithologist. Did you ever work out what that Bishop Square thingy was? I suddenly remembered this note that I found some time ago, and it occurred to me that it might be related. I almost threw it away, but it intrigued me, so I held on to it. I haven't a clue what it means. Much appreciated. Blessings in spring, rising in autumn. Okay, well, that seems pretty straightforward. Let's track down the symbol for blessings. Then we check spring and autumn. And there it is. Sideways crescent moon with 3 droplets. Which we have right here. So that was spring, which literally rises into autumn. Yeah, that's a pretty clean fit. Let's see what we got. The symbols on the map lead me up the winding stairs of the North Tower. The pendant has been carefully hidden. But knowing where to look means it does not take me long, and I am soon on my way back to the shop, with a new trinket to add to our growing collection. Oh, interesting. It's like an old-school rolling massager. Bronze and wood with what looks to be a bronze roller. Studded, definitely intended to like work out knots and muscles. Assuming it actually rolls. Ah, yep, there we go. It spins freely to the touch. Otherwise worn, weathered, engraved. Very conspicuous symbol, but I mean, honestly, my immediate thought is something that helps alleviate mobility issues. Let's see if we can ping that particular rune. Nothing jumping out at me. It's like a line through a separated circle. Oh, okay, right, yeah. Paralysis. It's not identical, it's like inverted, or partially inverted. So this may be another case where the reversal or inversion does indicate the opposite of what we have in the book. Which would make sense, because I literally just said my gut instinct was that it was an item to alleviate mobility issues. And paralysis would definitely be a mobility issue. We'll roll with that. Go ahead and archive that. And on we go. Thaddeus White, the Curator. Something isn't right at the museum. I'm worried it's all my fault. I'd hoped my brother would be back by now. I've had an idea, though. I'm no thaumaturge, but I think I can weaken it using a witherance. Oh dear, this had better work. Thaddeus, do you have our mysterious mind-eating sarcophagi? Because that is what it is sounding like. As for witherance, that's an easy one. We've already got it tentatively ID'd. A wooden idol marked with the symbol of weakness. That's our little goblin guy, top left. Don't think it's apt to work for what this guy wants to use it for, but, you know, we don't really have much choice in the matter, so... best of luck, I suppose. Maybe you're not actually a villain. Maybe you're just incompetent. Who's to say? I guess we'll know soon enough. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Folium. A blade is drawn across the face of a folium 6 times during the ritual of the Hand of Prior. Drear huntsmen and those wanting to prove themselves perform this ritual before seeking out the basilisk, as a folium blade is the only known way to pierce its thick armor. Oh, okay, well, I immediately know what that is. The Hand of Prior with 6 carved grooves across it. That's our hand in a goblet, just off left. Though it is cute that they included an illustration of basilisk scales, since that would clearly be intended to misdirect us to the heat shield item, the one that is in fact made of basilisk scales. Yeah, I mean, there's no real other clues to glean from that. That is just literally a straight-up misdirect. Though it is interesting they'd have a Mr. Egg this late in the game for it, since I think that was a fixed, non-optional customer request. Like, there were no alternate options, so you would always have it ID'd by now. Also, I suppose that is more than 6 grooves, but I feel like my point still stands. I feel like this is probably our Hand of Prior. And they draw it across the face of the palm, leaving these peculiar scratch marks. Not sure why that would chill our blood, though. There was no real mention of that. Oh, unless it's meant to counteract the reference to basilisks being resistant to fire. Perhaps cold being the opposite would thus pierce their scales. We'll hold off on tagging that. I'm a little less certain now that I've actually reread the entries. Next, Jacob Priestley. My mind is severed. Need meter. Well, let me see what I can do for you, sir. Meter, you say? Permits the drinker to forge pathways in the mind to recall that which has been forgotten or repair that which has been broken. Noticeably stronger thaumic field, which we already checked. Here you go. Nice. Wixic Cord. Despite the name, these simple-looking items do not produce a Wixic field. They belong to the diurnal branch. They cause a freezing effect in the body, earning them the nickname Medusa Stones. Fortunately, this effect is not permanent. Oh, okay. Well, see, that also makes me think of the stone hand we were just looking at, since it chilled our blood. But I also probably wouldn't consider that a simple item. Also, we now know that this is the symbol for paralysis, so this does feel like a much stronger contender. But I'll hold off on tagging it just yet. Next. Francesca Robertson. The Doctor. I've discovered something via the thymic needle. The woman who tried to swim across the lake was compelled to do so by some invisible force. She was looking for something, and whatever it is, it's right here in Undermere. That's not all. I decided to experiment with the Ambra. When I was under its spell, I heard whispers. Something was calling me, and it left me feeling terribly afraid. This must be what's keeping my patients in their trance-like state. I've never used a Gaudian siren before, but it occurred to me that I might be able to use it to drown out the whispers. I'm not sure that's really going to work out, because we've already deduced that the Gaudian siren does not, in fact, make a sound. It simply draws the eye and then holds it. But, you know, I guess we could do that. I don't really have a choice. Yeah. Shonen sketch, obelisk shaped. Draws the eye. I don't really see that ending well, but I guess we'll say. Carrick's candle. These items produce an invisible light that peels back the years, allowing a glimpse into the past. The effect is often murky and blurred, but it works passably on stationary objects. They are marked by a depiction of a candle upon their surface. Oh, well, again, we immediately know what that one is. That is the sandstone pillar, which, as one of the viewers observed, bears the symbols of flame over wax, which, one might say, describes a candle. Carrick's candle. There we go. That's an interesting one. I wonder if we'll have to perhaps use it to find things on other curio. Like identifying markers or something that have otherwise faded or broken off over time. Also, end of day, but we're making pretty good time. I think we can push one more. Let me just go ahead and archive these notes. I think we're done with these as well. And yeah, let's get some rest. Night, Jupiter. End of day 14. The Curator learned that the Nalian casket is a dark article, a class reserved for the most cursed and most dangerous of objects. He locked it away deep within the museum's archives, along with other such artifacts that are best kept from public eyes. Right, which immediately reinforces the idea that the local curator is the source of our problem, wittingly or otherwise. I want to say Thaddeus? Our boss is Eli, so yeah, I want to say his brother is Thaddeus. I am under the barn where the axe meets the tree. Specifically, a pine tree. Day 15. Thursday. Clue feels pretty straightforward. I think we've got a couple of farms on the map. Grey Wicket 1 and Royston at 30. So let's see if either of those are adjacent to any conspicuous pine trees. Well, Royce doesn't have any trees, so I'm going to say that's probably not it. As for Greywick, we do have a line of trees off left, including pines. Oh, but it is not what we're looking for. Noted. Okay, so obviously they're getting a bit trickier with this one. Let's give it another look. Under the barn where the axe meets the tree, with a picture of a pine. We also have trees off right, but that's probably not it either. All right, let me scour the map for anything else that might be tree related. And there it is. It was staring us right in the face. It's the intersection of Woodcutter's Lane and Pine Road. I wasn't really paying attention to the street name since I was fixated on the farm angle. But once I took a step back and started reading all the other names, yeah, that became pretty obvious pretty quick. Let's see what we've got. To the side of the house sits a dilapidated barn. The stench of manure is overpowering. There is no sign of an owner, so I search carefully, not sure exactly what I'm looking for. Suddenly, I spy a flash of blue. A bottle. This is it. Ooh, pretty. Blue painted porcelain. Cool and smooth to the touch. Gives off a scent like that of a brewing storm. Okay, so that's... Right, yes, I think that's our Zephyr. Or Zephyr, or... Zephyrim. Yes. Storm in a bottle. Well, that was easy. We'll go ahead and tag that now. Zephyrim? Question mark. And, I guess we'll set it up here. Those actually look pretty good together. Next. Simone Green, the Librarian. Good morning. Yes, and to you too, Jupiter. I'm getting more concerned about my mother. Hearing about that poor lady who drowned frightened me. But she'll turn up. She always does. I've had another breakthrough. This time I'm certain it's a clue that leads to another hidden part of Strange Antiquities. Fantastic. Let's have a look. From the individual, a stone for dark purposes. From the celestial, a stone of the earth. From the diurnal, a stone of death. Oh boy. Okay, well that one sounds pretty obnoxious. At a glance, I'm going to say that this requires us to find items bearing the appropriate stone, but also the appropriate aura. Yeah, see, because that's all three of the different branches here. And then for gemstones, we're looking for dark, earth, and death. Dark, earth, death. Okay, there's dark, bloodstone. Jade, which is earth. And Vivianite, which is death. Also, I just realized they have they have fields listed underneath the name of the gem as well, so maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe we don't actually have to match it with artifacts that have certain fields. Let me just double check the specifics here real quick. Diurnal is Diurnic and Noctic, Celestial, Selenic, and Dradic. Individual is Mintic and Wixic, so individual dark, Celestial stone. I feel like that matches up because, yeah, Dradic is earth and Jade is a stone of earth. Right, yeah, okay, you know what? I'm not even going to worry about the thaumaturgical fields. Let's, let me just... Oh yeah, okay. Bloodstone, Wixic. That is individual branch. Okay, so no need to overcomplicate. Let's just grab some gems and toss them in slots, see what happens. Dark, Earth, and Death. Obviously, we've got a giant chunk of bloodstone here. Vivianite right here on our Holgen Grim. And Jade. Jade. Ah, there we go. The Eye of Cernunnos. Biggest chunk of jade we've got. Look at that. Which kicks us over to another clock puzzle. We know how these work. Yeah, we've gotten pretty used to this sort of lunacy by now. Doesn't even faze us. And there we go. We've clocked our solution. Lovely. Which nets us another pendant, ominously suspended in an infinite void. Bronze with dark green. Vibrating with energy. Nothing else of note. Not sure about that one. We'll just set it aside for now. And on we go. Go ahead and archive that. Hey, sweetheart. How you doing, baby? Jacob Priestley. Thank you for the meter. I have seen into the yawning deep. I have seen beauty beyond the comprehending mind. The price is steep, but I pay it gladly. My shadow anchor, broken, must replace. Sure, yeah, I will get right on that. You do seem like you might be ever so slightly adrift. Shadow anchor, sometimes used in the practice of shadow casting, the art of projecting one's presence outside of the mind. Without an anchor, minds sometimes become lost. Designs can vary greatly. Some prefer pendants, whereas others prefer to clutch a totem in their hand. Some make use of symbology, where others use gemstones. They will always produce a field from the individual branch, however. That's mind and body. We literally just looked at that. So individual branch, sometimes worn, sometimes held. Very little else to go on. Mind stone, I believe, is kyanite, which is blue, which immediately draws my eye to this thing, which is almost sort of anchor-shaped. Though, I don't know if I would say it's something you could wear, though you could definitely hold it in your hand. And then we've also got this hand-shaped one over here. Oh, nope, scratch that. That's turquoise, not blue. Turquoise is actually something else. Oh, turquoise is aquamarine, I think. So this is the only one we have right now that has kyanite. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And look at that. Yes, kyanite gemstones, and produces a mantic field, which we didn't check. But I probably should have. Nephrogaunt. These were once worn by the necromancers of the Five Knolls, who used them in their rituals of resurrection. Their power became bound to them, such that if they were to remove them, even after death, the Nephroquant would crumble to dust. Today, their power is much diminished, but they can be used to draw out infections. However, they will cause Braxis if held against bare skin for long periods. Plus an illustration of Braxis, which doesn't really seem to tell us much unless the relevant part was covered up there. Let me just double check that. Yeah, that really doesn't tell us anything. No discernible patterns or markings that might imply shape or design. A lot of stuff about necromancers, which doesn't really help us. Unless we assume it's the preserved hand, which we have been wondering about since the very beginning of the game. I mean, I guess you could argue that it resembles the illustration of someone afflicted with Braxis. We'll hold off on tagging that one just yet. I could easily see it being a misdirect. Audrey Bell, the Priestess. You have shown yourself to be a useful ally in these worrisome times. Keep one eye on the lake in the coming days. When blackened eyes seek the casket, and waters turn to midnight, perform the sacrament and have faith in Holgar. Okay, thanks. I will certainly keep that in mind. The sacrament is a baptism ceremony in which one's life is pledged to the warrior god, Holgar. It is performed by a blood priest within a stone circle. In spring, a charm of green growth. In summer, a pendant of the yellow sun. In autumn, an instrument of the red night. In winter, a totem of blue fire. Well, I've got 3 of those clocked right off the bat. That's the horticulturist friend, the sun bond, and then the last one's the one that makes candles burn funny colors. David Chafer, the mailman. I'm afraid this letter was sorted incorrectly and has ended up doing a round trip to Kendall and back. Better late than never. Indeed. Thanks, Dave. I have spent a long time looking for an object that is believed to have been lost somewhere in the catacombs. The adventurer and thaumaturge Marwyn left a trail to her hidden stash, or so the story goes. I followed it as far as the ossuary of the damned, a chilling, bone-filled alcove, carved into a natural chamber in the upper levels. But it seems her markings have been worn away by time after that. I pass on this story to you in hopes that you can succeed where I have failed. Your friend, Barton. P.S. I probably wouldn't have sent you this letter if I were dead. But who knows? Stranger things have certainly happened. Marwyn. Can't say that name sounds familiar, but let's check our index. No, nothing. Alright, let's track down this ossuary of the damned. which simply by definition would be a giant pile of bones and skulls, of which I see 3. One being the tomb of the Knight of Thorns, which we've already visited. Yeah, I guess we'll just head over, see what happens next. We did just tentatively ID an artifact that lets us see things from the past. So that might actually be what we need here. Which is probably this one. Since I don't think the one on bottom left can actually be clicked on. Yeah, that's just background scenery. Or this? No. I am able to follow Marwyn's trail for a while, but the carved markings are faded and worn by centuries of weathering. By the time I reach the ossuary, I can no longer make them out at all. Fortunately, I've always wanted an excuse to use a Carrick's candle. Right, which we just tentatively ID'd not too long ago. Nice. Yeah, flame over wax. Symbolic candle. Stalagmites retreat under the light of the candle as I hold it aloft and search the shifting rock walls for any signs of Marwyn's trail. Suddenly, I see it. An M etched into the rock, as clear as if it had been carved yesterday. I follow the trail in an excited hurry, tripping and stumbling as the candle distorts the height of the floor, until I come to its end at a small boulder. Rolling the rock to one side, I reach behind it and reclaim Marwyn's lost treasure. Oh, it's like a slightly ominous Christmas tree ornament. 10. Somewhat cool to the touch. Gives me goosebumps. Well, that is very little to go on. Another for the rack. Honestly, a lot of these probably won't be ID'd until day 19. The bonus post-game segment. Next. Barton Potter. Oh dear. Mr. Potter, you seem to have been cursed. Who could have possibly seen this coming? Well, I don't see mute in our index, so let's check the Book of Curses. Blackheart. Braxis. Breath of Lyra. Burning Blood. Morgan's Insanity. Noctic Sight. Sapphire Curse. Tormund's Paralysis. Affects the mouth and tongue so that speech becomes impossible. And I believe we actually do have an entry for an item that cures Tormund's Paralysis, which I'm going to guess is our roller. The massager. These can be rolled along the tongue to cure Tormund's Paralysis, or worn around the neck to protect against the curse. Like most items that ward against curses, they emit a diurnic field pattern. Yes, another super easy one. Barely an inconvenience. I mean, we might as well double-check the field pattern just in case, but I am 99.2% sure this is our guy. And that's a diurnic field pattern. Here you go, bud. Nice. Thank you. I don't even know how I managed to get down from the Weatherland. Everything went dark after reading the inscription on the tall stone, but somehow I knew if I made it to Strange Antiquities, I'd be okay. Through the darkness, I received a message from the Nameless Ones. They seek an item called the Nalian Casket. If we give it to them, they promise to free those it has infected. I don't think we have a choice. At least we can be certain of one thing. If they have the casket, they will not allow it to be opened. All they desire, all they value, is power. And opening the casket would release all of its contained power. I don't know about that, bud. I mean, according to my dreams, you did try opening the casket before. Hence your current eye patch and dead partner. But then again, I don't think it's a good idea to keep it sealed and hand it over either. Neither of those sound like terribly good options. Let me go ahead and stow this somewhere. Yeah, that's fine. Next, Verona Green, the occult scholar. The time has come to decide, thaumaturge. The casket wants to be opened. The casket will be opened. Nothing can stop it now, and yet there is still a part of this mind that will not be quieted. Help me to calm this clamoring rage inside my head. This is your chance to elevate yourself above the scurrying ants that absently crawl through their meaningless lives. Uh-huh. So, Zephyrum or Abrasive Meter, Storm in a Bottle, or something that might actually cure you. Gosh, which should I possibly hand over? I mean, I will double-check the Abrasive Meter, I suppose. Make sure it's something that would, in fact, help and not... Yeah, let me just double-check that real quick. Abrasive Meter. Used to purge unwanted memories. Should be used sparingly and considerately. Right. Well, we know which one the Abrasive Meter is. It's the only one we don't have a verified ID on yet. And then Zephyrum, we, again, literally just looked at. That's the Storm in a Bottle, the blue bottle top right, which we just acquired earlier today. Which I'm also going to say is probably not what we want to hand over to someone who is clearly going through something right now. Or may not even be. Verona. They say eyes are windows to the soul, and they're looking pretty empty right now. Man, I will say though, glad we ran long today. This definitely makes for a pretty compelling cliffhanger. Since I imagine this is our last encounter of the day, it definitely has the feel of it. And hey, final 3 days. I was wondering why we hadn't gotten any really climactic events just yet. But between this, Barton Potter, and the earlier visit from Thaddeus White, I'd say we're pretty close. Oh, shoot, right. That wasn't the Abrasive Meter, that was the Restful Meter. Sorry. There we go. Gris. For the ritual of the broken path, a gris is heated slowly over flame. To have full effect, it must be held in an ungloved hand until the ritual is complete, no matter how hot it gets. The ritual should not be performed by those who have not studied the Wixic arts. It is common to suffer burns, but when done correctly, it should not be painful. I'm gonna say that's our T-pose. Come at me, bro. Bye. Hope you feel better soon. Yeah, I'm going to say this is probably our grist right here. Looks like something you could pretty easily hold in your hand, and there's burn marks all over the bottom. Top symbol is fire. Not sure about the middle one. Looks like a Wiccan symbol, and then the bottom is paralysis. Paralysis really kind of throws it, though, because there's nothing in the description regarding that. Other symbol could also be confusion, though it has too many horizontal lines. Oh, ice. Okay. So I don't think that is our grist after all. Fire and the suit marks did seem to lean it that way, but ice and paralysis seem completely unrelated. So I am not sure what that is. Yeah, we'll just leave that be for now. And call it a day. Night, Jupiter. Stay safe, bud. End of day 15. But the problem with storing powerful dark artifacts is that slowly, inevitably, the darkness seeps out. Huh. I'm gonna guess, day 16, Friday. I'm gonna guess the yarn traces a path we have to follow, either a street or possibly a route through the catacombs. Might get tricky though, they do like to change the orientation on some of these. Though, at a glance, nothing is really jumping out at me. I'm also wondering if yarn specifically plays into it, so I'm double-checking all the street names this time. But no, nothing's really catching my eye. Oh, there we go. Right there, below the 1832. Right here. Which means we are looking at this one. Which we will check out next time. Because we are currently pushing the hour mark, and I feel like this is a good place to call it anyway. After our, interesting encounter with Miss Green. I will say, on the one hand, it's nice that, like, we're actually starting to see some really ominous supernatural stuff happening now. But at the same time, I wish the choices they were giving us with some of these were a bit more subtle, because obviously giving her, you know, a storm in a bottle would only make things worse. Which, while fun, doesn't necessarily make for the most compelling narrative choice, I suppose. That said, still quite enjoying it. And we're so close to the end, we're obviously not stopping now. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, shuffle things around a bit, and we will pick up here next time. As I assume, things get worse. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible. including but not limited to Erie V23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Random Passerby, Robbie B, Trip Hop and Skip, and Valenrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.